Are you starting the show or what? Are you catatonic?
Yeah, no, I'm ready for the show. This is the angle we're giving him, the wide shot here.
It's a start. It's a good
To
start.
start with. All right.
You
Well,
throw me
I
in
like to
throw me in those coasters.
do my intro directly to them.
All right.
Can you get me on the big screen here? Can you get the big shot of me?
Only if you give me a coaster.
Oh.
I'm holding your camera hostage.
Oh yeah. It's more like it. That's what I like to see. All right. Are you ready?
Hold on. Yes, I am. Back to you, Jim.
Here we go. Welcome to The Watching Dead, the officially unofficial podcast for The Walking Dead on AMC. I'm Jim.
And I'm Aaron.
And tonight we're talking about season 5, episode 3, entitled 4 Walls and a Roof. 4 walls and an oof for me, honestly.
4 walls and a fumble.
I don't know. So I've watched it a second time, obviously, to get another perspective on it, another chance to figure out what I thought about it. And I came down a little less harsh, as I think I tend to give it a little slack the second time through, because I kind of know what to expect, and I don't know. It kind of harshes my critique on it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I did not like this episode.
Mm-hmm. I
just think it easily could have been, all the issues I had were solvable issues that they,
I'm not saying that I like this episode. I think there were some things to like. Overall, I think they could have done a lot of stuff better. And their plan still doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the ending was great.
Mm-hmm.
The resolution with Rick and company killing everybody was badass.
Sure, Bob stuff, great.
And the Bob stuff, if you take my criticism of, I think that and no one took exception in the tons of email we got. No one said that we were wrong, that wouldn't be better at the tail end of last episode. So if you take that criticism out, then the setup was not even that bad. Actually, the setup was great. I thought the last 2 episodes have built towards this moment beautifully. I just feel like I don't know. I don't get it. And we've got definitely some con takes here. Mm-hmm. Some people defending Kirkman's remix style and feedback, and that's fine. I mean, it's just my opinion. In my opinion, I don't mind remixing. I don't mind changing as long as it's better than what we got on a page. And it's one of those things where, does Kirkman understand his own material? Does he understand the point I thought he was making in the original comic as far as Rick's group versus this group?
Yeah.
And if so, did he weaken that position in the television show? It's obviously my opinion that he did. And that's the thing. Like, I just hate seeing someone get dressed up in a tuxedo and have big giant spaghetti stain on their shirt.
Yeah.
It's like, did you not see the spaghetti stain when you walked out the door? Did you not have time to hit it with some OxyClean? Was the dry cleaner closed? Why did you show up with the spaghetti stain? That's what this episode was. It was,
I fucking love spaghetti, man.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly went to a lot of time and effort to do a lot of things good on this episode, and they messed up. And that's the other thing, is you got to understand, my conceit is that I really enjoy the survival aspects of the show, and the watching Rick's group do smart strategy and try different things. And it annoys me when I'm taken out of that by things that, like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah. There's a fine line between what the hell are they doing and, ooh, what are they doing?
And the other thing is, I feel like that they had a lot of characters walking a fine line between chewing the scenery and effectively selling a particular madness or grief or rage or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think Andrew Lincoln did a great job. I think Lawrence Gilliard Jr. did I was scared, but I think he successfully walked a tightrope.
Yeah.
Seth Gilliam can do better. I did not buy, and it's like, a lot of people send feedbacks like, well, you don't understand, this guy's. No, I understand the position he's in.
I understand exactly.
I understand the feeling that's on the page, that the performance itself didn't feel genuine to me. And I've seen this guy in the best television of all time, and I know what he's capable of.
Second time through, it wasn't so bad for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Nah, it was still rough for me.
I thought it was. I thought it was better than the first time I saw it.
See,
Definitely.
Bob's is better because,
Yeah.
like, a lot of times when I'm watching this, I'm like, when we're watching your kid on stage and they're at a recital, and you're like, you're kind of like, oh God, I don't know if they're gonna nail this, and then you can relax when you know they did.
Yeah.
And that's what Bob's performance, Lawrence's performance was like that for me. The first time I'm like, oh God, he needs to bring it in a little bit. I'm not sure when is he going to go from the sobbing to the maniacal laughter. Second time through, I can just like, yeah, he nailed it.
Sure.
Father Gabriel's played by Seth, I thought.
It's like when the guitar player swings the guitar around their back and starts playing behind their back. They're like, this is a tricky move. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off. But then you realize it's fucking Jimi Hendrix. And he is going to pull it off.
But on the other hand, if they do that and they start missing chords.
Then it's a shit show.
Yeah. It's like, why? You're not as good as you think you are, buddy.
You should have just stuck to playing guitar.
Stay
like
in your lane, asshole. So, yeah, I don't know. And there's certainly room to disagree as far as comic book adaptations and how faithfully got to be material. And so
we'll get there.
Hopefully I can articulate my opinion well enough that people at least understand where I'm coming from.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get into the recap.
Whoa, sir. Whoa. You just slow your fucking roll. First of all, we got a contest, our last contest winner that has got a season 4 DVD or Blu-ray, their choice. Their choice pop. I'm going to send you an email after this podcast is over. But Nick Antonovich was the winner of the final contest. I'll be contacting you through email with all your different choices. Won some ScreenMonsters.com artwork, which is some really awesome screen art. They got really, if you're looking to really nail your Daryl costume, they got you covered on his wings that you can stitch onto your vest. They got a lot of cool Walking Dead inspired and horror theme inspired screen art. Highly encourage you to check out our buddy there, Richard at ScreenMonsters.com, and free copy of my book and a free Bald Move t-shirt. So that's the prize pack you got coming your way. Nick, congratulations. Secondly, the writer and director. The director of this show is Jeffrey F. January, which is this is his first time as director. He has been the assistant or second assistant director on a lot of Walking Dead and some other shows, but this is his first time as his first directorial debut. And Angela Kang and Corey Reed combined to write these. Angela has written about 8 episodes of The Walking Dead.
Sure, a couple of good ones.
And 2 episodes of Terriers. And I didn't find any information on Corey Reed. But I don't know. I didn't feel like in this, I felt like that maybe it is a writing problem, but I didn't feel like there was a lot of bad writing and bad direction, although maybe arguably Seth could have used a couple more takes to really nail that. That's the other thing. I'm having a hard time thinking a professional director is watching the dailies and like, yeah, I really feel solid on the emotion of the scene. But, I don't
know. Like I said, second time through, I didn't think it was as bad. I thought it was, good enough.
Good enough. That's what we go for.
Yeah. Here. Yeah, good enough. It's Walking Dead. Good enough is good enough.
The soft bigotry of low expectations.
But I felt like there were just some communication problems, like with me as an audience member. Because like I said in the instant cast, I thought they were buckling in for some kind of siege. Didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
That was not at all what was intended, but that they made me think that.
I don't know. Maybe their time, the time is a problem. They don't have enough time to block these shots when they're setting up the action scenes. They get there and like, ooh, I'm not sure, if this all makes sense logically, but they don't have enough time to reset to a different location or to plan something else out.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the recap.
I do want to say
we could speculate on this stuff all day.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. And we'll talk more about this stuff when we get to it. So
if you're lucky.
We start out with Gareth and company still eating Bob, just chowing down and going to town. I mean, there's one guy who looks like he's having a fucking orgasm eating Bob. I mean, his eyes are rolled back in his head. He looks like he's got this weird quivering lips.
See,
it's kind of disturbing.
I thought that they did a lot of interesting symbolism in this episode. Some of it's a little bacon gauntlet-y, a little ham-fisted. But
Sure.
every show does that. I mean,
Yeah.
most shows engaging in symbolism, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, they get a little bacon gauntlet. And I feel like that they were making overt comparisons between the hunters and the zombies.
Yeah, they're walkers trying to get in the window.
And that guy eating, I thought a lot of the actors were going for a very zombie-ish eating human flesh type of look.
For sure.
No plates, no forks, no just tearing at the meat and kind of great white shark in it.
No plates and forks in the zombie apocalypse, by the way. Yeah, why would they have plates and forks? Anyway,
like a man, goddamn it.
Bob reveals in this scene that he has tainted meat in spectacular fashion.
Sure.
He's screaming it. He's trying to, I don't know if he's trying to attract the attention of someone or the walkers or something, but he's screaming it, top of his lungs.
I mean, he's heard this guy monologuing and he's had enough.
Yeah.
And now he's going to put him in your place.
I got a 1-2 punch for you, motherfucker, before I go out.
Plus, you stupid pricks.
Yeah.
I like hearing.
Yep.
You don't hear prick a lot. You don't
It's
hear
a good
prick a
one.
lot. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a very good one. And everybody like vomiting and spitting it out and freaking out about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We find out a couple of things here. One, Gareth has an unhealthy obsession with bears. Two, they marked their way here on those trees so they could find their way back. So they're the ones making the marks.
It's not hobo code.
Not hobo code.
It's not Morgo code.
Although I wonder why the marks are different shape. I don't know why they didn't go with the same shape for every mark. That seems strange, but okay.
Well, the other thing I saw that I was reading, I actually wasn't reading anything about The Walking Dead. I just happened to be doing something else and reading about trail markers.
Okay.
Like what the Forestry Service uses to mark trails through woods. And they have the symbol of codes that can tell you, like, this is where you need to stop and make a turn, or you need to veer left or veer right, or don't go this way. And I thought maybe they were trying to make, some kind of internal homage to that, where the line with the dash going one way might mean to turn that way.
Yeah.
And the X might mean you need to stop and make a, stop this trail and make a radical, or I don't know. But
yeah, stop and eat a cub.
I didn't think that Cub snacking station.
Yep.
I feel like that Gareth is just kind of rambling here, and he's like, where would we go back to? Terminus? Like, I get it's on fire. It's a big fucking metal building with a lot of fence. You've and have all this thing where the food's coming down to you. I don't know that it's a bad idea to go back there. And reset up shop.
Would you say the same about the prison?
No, the thing about the prison is the prison had gaping holes busted open. The fence was compromised in several places, and the utility of it, I feel like, was much less. But where I feel like the utility of Terminus is that they've painstakingly made these maps that all go to a central place and they funnel in their prey.
And they've got the tracks.
They've got the tracks. All tracks lead to Terminus. So it's like and the way they quote unquote survive, I feel like that they could probably replenish their ranks. It seems like they give people a choice: join us or die. I'm surprised it hasn't bit them on the ass before. Pun not intended. Because I feel like a lot of people, I'd be like, oh hell yeah, I'm all about eating people. Yeah. And then the second they turn their back, rat-a-tat-tat. But
yeah, well, you have to eat some people in the process.
Well,
that's the thing. You do what you gotta do.
Gotta stay above ground.
Jeez.
I also, speaking of symbolism, you touched on it, but I really like the scene of the zombies all pressed against the glass.
Yeah.
And him touching hands with them, like they come to visit him in prison, and seeing his reflection of his face overlaid with the zombie face.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty heavy-handed, but he's
a monster.
Yeah, I mean, they are monsters. In fact, they're much more dangerous than actual zombies.
Yeah, because they're smart.
Well, I was going to say, it's like they're...
Are we going to debate whether or not they're smart?
A little bit smart.
I don't know. They seem fairly smart to me.
A little overconfident. Not ready to handle Rick's jelly.
Sure. Well, that's what happens when you have a bad plan. They must have listened to, what's the name? The hat guy?
The hat guy.
Yeah. Hat guy came up with that plan.
Oh, you're talking Trucker
He was
Hat?
just mad, yeah.
Got beat to got beat half to death by Tyrese guy.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's like, let's go in there and let's get him.
Yeah.
That's my plan.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Tyrese is soft as a swab of cottonelle. We got no problem with this group.
Yep.
Carol and Daryl the badasses, and they fucking hightailed out of Dodge. Just go get them.
They do make mention of them having cooked the meat, like we had discussed this time. If
Sure.
they were actually going to be infected by that or whatever, it turns out it doesn't matter because they're all killed anyway. But they did make mention of it, so I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yep.
And they made it pretty obvious last week that Bob was bit. Was it a surprise to you?
Nah, not at all. Not at all. Because I mean, so much of this is a direct lift from the comic series, and
Sure.
now the only question I had was whether he was bit on his leg, and if they had, I thought that would be an interesting twist, but it would make the Terminus people look even stupider.
Sure.
Or more stupid. Look even stupider. Look even more stupid, because how do you overlook a giant bite mark on a piece of meat you're cooking?
Yeah. Whereas if it's on his shoulder and it's under clothes, I don't know how it got under clothes, but
yeah, I hand you a bite taken out of it.
I'm gonna notice.
You're gonna be like, "What the hell, man?"
Yeah. You hand me a hot dog in a t-shirt and it has a bite underneath it. I won't know.
That's the thing. Bob got bit underneath his jacket and t-shirt.
Yeah.
Did the zombie just carefully, make sure he got around the zombies have evolved? Even the waterlogged ones that don't have eyeballs have evolved to expose the succulent flesh before they try to bite through cotton, the fabric of our lives.
Yeah.
All right.
Just how it goes.
And no blood seeping through that wound either.
Nope.
Not that shirt was clean as if it came off mom's laundry line.
Yep. Anyway, so Sasha's outside by herself. She's searching for Bob. Of course, she's out there by herself. Tree. And then she almost gets eaten by some walkers before Tyrese grabs her from behind. And then Rick tells her that Daryl and Carol are missing too. So
yeah, so I guess, I don't have a problem. This show does a pretty good job at mixing up jump scares with non-jump scares.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with the jump scare with Tyrese. And I don't even have a problem with her getting tunnel vision with the night vision scope, because I can see that happen. And the show's all right. If you're in season 5, you're still complaining about the stealth walkers. Honestly, you can make fun of them. I like to make fun of the stealth walkers.
Yeah.
The walkers that are completely silent until the camera focuses on them, and then but yeah, this is by now what this show does.
Yeah.
Now, many people argued in email that also sucky writing and puzzling plot decisions are what the show does too, and I should maybe stop bitching about that as well. They perhaps have a point. But yeah,
maybe.
I feel like stealth zombies are like, explosions in outer space. It's technically correct that you would not hear them, and it's super silent. And I kind of sit up and take notice when I see a TV show or movie observe that.
Yeah.
But I don't expect it.
Yeah. There are certain levels of believability that you get away with. And terrible plans and stuff like that is just not part of that.
Yeah, everybody's got a different suspension of disbelief going.
Yeah. So they go, we're back inside the church. They're confronting Gabriel. Sasha goes up to him. She tries to get him to tell her what's going on, and he's not having it. And then Rick breaks in. And he forces Gabriel to reveal his sins. Rick is apparently Gabriel's new god because he only confesses his sins to God.
I think it would be super funny if this went down like Chunk from the Goonies, where we just start confessing everything. I was 13 when I first started masturbating.
Wow.
I committed. I didn't declare $50 was given to me on my tax forms this 1 year. Just goes on this exhaustive list of bullshit.
Well, he gives an exhaustive list of bullshit reasons. It was he always locks the doors at night.
I was unclear whether it was his general policy to lock the doors at night.
I'm pretty sure
every night.
I think every night. Yeah.
Okay. And It's
Also, it was so early.
he wasn't sleeping in late, right?
No, it was just so early.
He's so early.
So early.
And he did lock the doors that night,
He did, and it was really early.
as he does every night.
I think so.
And he doesn't sleep in, but you know, that's you gotta wait till the sun comes up before Father Gabriel's going to get up and get at him.
Sure. So he must have killed some walkers, because he also says that he buried their bones. If you say, okay, the walkers ate them.
I think the walkers leave after a while, though. And he had cans. He had cans for days.
Yeah, but he buried their bones. So you're saying the walkers chewed all the meat off them bones?
Yeah.
And then he went out?
They did the full Lori.
Really?
Yeah. Like
Ooh.
what meat wasn't stuffed in their belly was left. Yeah, he buried the bones he could find.
Okay. That's wow.
I want you
hungry zombies.
I also would like to invite the audience to keep in mind the image of Father Gabriel's church, his whole congregation clamoring outside the night that they bombed Atlanta, super early, but they're prying at the doors, they're prying at the windows. Someone has some sort of knife that they can scrape. You'll burn in hell.
Yep.
You'll burn for this, with including the apostrophe. Just keep in mind that mental image for a little bit later.
Yeah, I'm glad they used correct grammar on that.
Yeah.
All right. I've got it in my head. Let's keep going. So they notice Bob outside in the yard. It's dark, but there's somebody out there. They run out to go help. They find out it's Bob. Somebody shoots at him, and they pull Bob inside. This is where shit went south for me. This shot, the grassy knoll shot.
Why?
I don't know why they shot. So, like, if you step through this and you say, okay, their idea is to make them panic. They throw Bob out in the yard. They say, look what we did to Bob. And you take the shot to make them even more panicky. And then you're not around to take advantage of that panic. What's the point of making them panic?
Well, I don't know. So I'm going to, in the source material, they, I think, always planned on dropping Dale at this point. Can you believe Dale is still alive at this point in the comics?
That would have been horrible.
They dropped Dale off. They dropped Dale off as a way to panic the survivors, and you know, to get them holed up, and also to get them outside the church, because they started shooting at them, shooting the wound. Like I think they hit Glenn in the leg. They might have hit somebody but they were clearly aiming for like extremities to, you know, because again, they're wanting to eat these people. So they're wanting to hold them up outside and be able to pick them off one by one and inspire terror in them so they'll be more easily controlled.
Okay, that sounds like a siege to me.
A siege. Okay, sure. Now in
containing
the show,
them in this new ACAR, which they make a very obvious point of saying this is now the ACAR.
I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought it was awesome, but it doesn't jive with their plan.
The only thing I don't understand is that would have been more meaningful if we actually knew what the hell A meant. Like,
well, A is the car that they were being held up in to be eaten.
Yeah, but does that mean anything to Rick? I mean, that was an internal bookkeeping system. It's like,
it meant something to the audience.
Yeah,
and it meant something to Gareth.
But it's one of those meta things that I wasn't sure. I was trying to put myself into the mind of the Terminites. So like they're sneaking up this church and they're like, tee hee, we'll put this A on here and really fuck with them. And I'm like, Rick doesn't know what the hell A means.
Sure, but I think Gareth does. And
it's like, what does a book know?
He's just doing it for his own pleasure.
What does a book know about the Dewey Decimal System? You know, it's like you burn down a library and you find a history book and a guy cobbles together one shelf and then labels it 810 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like the book doesn't give a shit. I mean, I guess you're doing it for your own amusement. And you're right. It was a cool scene. But
he's a little twisted. So
I was trying to think from a meta perspective what they were going for there. It would have been cool. Also, I guess it would have made slightly more sense if there was a collection of buildings there that they could then just start reestablishing their whatever kind of Nazi-esque Holocaust bookkeeping system they had.
Yeah, I don't need it to go that far. Like I just thought the A was cool. Gareth is a lunatic. Why not?
Your Honor, I withdraw my objection.
I mean, you can have the objection.
No, withdrawn. Strike it from the record.
Uh,
Jury disregard ever hearing that objection.
so I get that their idea is to panic these people, and I get that their idea is to eat these people and not necessarily just kill them all. I still don't understand the purpose of letting them know that you're there, that you're right there, and then not following up on it.
What do you mean by following up on it?
So if their plan was actually to let all of the badasses out, to go to their camp to try to sneak in behind them into the church and kill what, these other 6 people?
Yeah.
Why let them know that you're outside that building?
But that's
Why not drop off Bob and say, Bob will tell them where we are. Bob will, like, we will wait outside, not give away our position, wait until they leave for the camp, and then go in.
Well, the other thing is I was wondering if the Terminus people knew that they would know where they're at. Like, I guess Bob would have told him, you know, about Father Gabriel for whatever reason. And
maybe, but so if they don't know where they're at, the plan makes less sense.
What do you mean? I guess I'm not following. To me, it's like you said, it's inspiring terror. So they come out and get their own, and then they start taking pot shots at them. I don't understand why they shot zombies. I don't understand why they shot a zombie.
Sure.
That didn't seem to make sense at all. Because if you're trying to inspire terror, shoot. You know, thank you. I was going to shoot this guy. Thanks for getting that. I mean, shoot one of the survivors as they're trying to get their wounded.
Here's the thing: the dropping Bob off at the front door already inspires terror.
Yeah.
That's the thing that inspires terror. The fact that they captured one of your guys, they cut off his leg, they ate it, and then they dropped him off in front of your door. That tells you that they're there.
Okay.
The shot is unnecessary. And I don't know. Are they shooting that walker to preserve Rick? Because it looks like Rick had it handled anyway.
Ooh, that actually could possibly be a valid reason, because this is your meat. You don't want the walker getting to you. I don't know. To me, it's like you shoot one of the guys. That's that.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to amp up the terror, like dropping off Bob and, hey, we're eating this person and we ate him alive.
That's terrifying.
That is going to a level of terror. But then also putting a bullet in a couple of you is going to make you even more panicky. And it also puts a clock on it, because are they going to stay in the church forever? Because they got a guy shooting and getting and bled out. Is it going to weaken them? Are they going to get mad? And that's, I guess, what I'm wondering about. And so I guess I didn't have.
But it's weird, because what if they hadn't all? What if the rest of them have not stayed behind in the church? What if they had all gone out to be Gareth's camp? Then his plan is foiled.
Yeah, I don't know what Gareth does at that point.
He's relying on just the badasses leaving the church.
I think he's also relying on the fact that they've got kids and, you know, whatnot too. Like, it's not.
But what is Rick thinking? Rick knows that they know where he's at. And his whole group is.
Sorry.
So if he is abandoning the weakest members of his party, knowing that they're potentially right outside the door, and, you know, they have the gunfire and Bob to prove it, what is he doing? He's abandoning the weakest portion of his group.
No, this is the part that I have a problem with. I mean,
so I don't know. I just think if Rick's plan was actually, let's fake them out, let's go outside, let's wait until they go in and come in behind them, he waited way too long to execute.
Right. So this is the problem. And I think that that's clearly the plan, because it was a 10-minute walk through the woods, and it's a nighttime, so I don't think it's like a 3-minute run.
No.
And I don't think they ran there and then found out that it was empty and then came back. I feel like that Rick went to the woods, waited for these guys to come in, and then moved in. But it's like there's not enough time elapsed for them to have plausibly made it to the school and then back. And too much time elapsed for it to seem like it makes sense for Rick to do that as a plan and let Gareth monologue for all that a lot of time. And, you know, we'll get there in a little bit, but I also think that that's what doesn't make sense about where they chose to do the ambush either. And it's like, you know, there's some things I'm willing to forgive. Like, if I want to get really nitpicky, it's super silly that Rick's group leaves, literally 3 seconds later, Gareth's company enters the road and all walks in all together in broad moonlight down the main path.
Yep.
Like that is so
path.
fucking foolhardy, but who wants to sit there and wait 5 minutes for a believable amount of distance? Or, I mean, they could have done it like maybe this is a first-time director problem. He doesn't know how to effectively tell a story. It'd have been cool to have an inset of Gareth's group cut to him, and they're like, okay, they're gone. Let's go. Let's move in. So at least it doesn't, you can tell that it's like, one guy walking out the door, one guy walking in.
Yeah, it really felt like Rick's group was leaving to go to their camp.
Yep.
They just happened to be coming back the other way to go to the church again.
Yeah, no, it's a double reverse fake out is what they want us to believe, but the timing was off for either of the two plausible plans to be in effect. And
I feel like it,
the way I thought was what I thought was really awesome was the way that it happened in the comic book, which is these guys dropped off Dale, took pot shots at the group, and went back to their camp and just gloated over how terrifying these guys must be of them. And they're, now
wow, that scene would have helped. They could have explained their plan.
Yeah, and they're like, it's like, I bet they're in there shitting their pants. They're gonna, they're gonna be ripe for the picking when we come back a little bit later. And then to find out, like, as they're saying that, Rick comes up alone.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, and then they're once again underestimating. They're like, you must be fucking stupid to come up here alone. And Rick like gestures.
He says, I'm alone. Yeah. Whatever.
And they blow off the dude's ear.
Yeah.
And so it's like that makes Rick out to be like, you're a real badass. And these guys, that was the arc. This is the turning point of Rick's group where they stop being afraid, like what Carl said, which is what, like last episode, they're strong. They don't have to put up with this bullshit, this tin pot dictator crap.
Yeah.
Like, we know where you are, fuckers. We've got automatic weapons and night vision scopes. We're going to roll up on you and execute every last one of you idiots. And it is really awesome. Instead, they made Rick look stupid. I mean, it's one thing to make the hunters look stupid. That was kind of the point. Another thing is the hunters had no previous experience with Rick's group. It kind of already didn't work.
None of this really feels like it comes through on the screen. Like,
yes,
that scene with the hunters gloating would have been great.
Yeah. I think they tried.
Rick just giving a one-off line about how they probably think that they scared us.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have any weight. It doesn't affect me.
Right.
It doesn't show me that, yes, in fact, these cannibals think they've got the upper hand.
Right. But also, it's just so it makes
that's bad.
The time, and then the fact that they. Well, I mean, we're gonna talk about this, I'm sure, when we get there. But just not just the timing of this, but the fact that you let them get into church and you let them spend tons of time, and like, what the hell was Rick waiting for?
Like 5,
shots
6,
to be fired?
10 minutes. I don't know. Yeah.
So I don't know. Again, it's not just that it's different. It's just different in ways that made Rick's group look dumb and muted the impact, which I thought we were getting, which is Rick's group is a force to be reckoned with. Rick's group is not going to fall victim to someone like the governor or these termites again.
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying. All right, let's move on. Bob tells everyone what happened to Gareth, or what happened with Gareth. They bit into his leg a couple of times. Rick asks about Daryl and Carol, and Bob says that they drove off, and then he shows him
to find that out. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they shows him the bite.
Right.
Says it's not worth getting the first aid kits because check this shit out. Not good. But shoulder is a bad place to get bit. You can't cut that off.
Not really.
Yeah.
The head is the worst place to be bit.
Well, yeah, sure.
But shoulders right
torso.
Up there.
I mean, torso's right up there with head.
Torso, yeah.
You can't do anything.
You can't tourniquet and cut off, you're fucked.
Yeah, yeah. And we find out also in this scene that Jim, who was way back in season 1, got bit and turned into a walker. He lasted almost 2 days before they even left him.
Right.
And who knows how much longer he lasted after that. A lot of people were just complaining about how if Bob was bit, he would have turned immediately. Like, the time span is too long. No. He had plenty of time.
Sure.
Plenty of time.
If you want a gripping retelling of Jim's epic zombie fever dreams and how long it took to turn, you can check out my book that's available at book.baldmove.com. It's $2.99 on Amazon. It's a full recap of season 1 with survival guides. Do you like that?
Yeah,
It's
no, that's
organic as hell.
That's good.
That's better than Whole Foods. You can't get more organic than that.
All right, so Rick gets the location.
Oh, I want to say also, this group trades pity so easily. Like Sasha's ready to kill Gabriel. He offers his fucking sofa for Bob to rest in, and she's just on her knees. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like what? It's like no, bitch. We will take your sofa. Thank you. Spack and upside the head.
Yep. No, they maybe Gabriel will join their group, become a real part of it.
I think that's where it's headed.
Like
that's
badass Tarantino preacher style thing.
I kind of like. It would be interesting to see him.
How about from Brain Dead, that preacher?
No. Whoa. See, I was just going for just like characters. In Saving Private Ryan, they had the interpreter, or the German interpreter or whatever, that he joined the group, and like this is a badass war-hardened group, and this guy's never seen combat, and he's kind of squeamish and afraid. I feel like that's always interesting to throw an everyman character to make it relatable. You got this group, it's increasingly deranged in a good way. Psychopaths with hearts of gold. You throw in a guy who's pretty much been untouched through all this, and it's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
When's he finally going to man up? Maybe Tyrese can quit being such a baby now that we got a real softy in the group.
There you go. Yeah, so Rick gets location of Gareth's camp and decides to head out, but before he can do that, Abraham thinks it's a better idea to take the bus and leave, and they almost get into a fist fight here.
Do not lay hands.
But Glenn is able to convince Abraham to stay until the next day by volunteering to go with him.
Yeah. Volunteering Maggie, too.
Yeah. So they make it out like Abraham is the ticket here. Like Abraham is the guy who gets them out of the crisis, it feels like. When they're in the church. And so, first of all, Glenn is convinced that they need him, to the point where he's willing to break up the group and go with them the next day. That tells me that he's important. The other thing that tells me he's important is later on when they do take Gareth out, he's the one who kind of swings around and flanks Hat Man.
Sure.
And kind of puts an end to everything.
I mean, Abraham and Rosita are kind of badass.
Yeah.
Eugene is not.
But I don't know that they couldn't have done it with Glenn, Rick, Michonne, Daryl, or I guess Daryl's not there
because
yet.
They left Rosita behind. She wasn't even the only real muscle they added was Abraham himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that they needed him either. I don't know. I think Glenn is hell-bent on not breaking up the group, and he's also hell-bent on...
But then he promises to break up the group in order to not break up the group. That doesn't make sense.
So I think he's worried that Rick just never will go to Washington. Like if Abraham leaves without them being fully on board, that Rick will just wander out in the wilderness for 40 years.
So he's manipulating Rick into following Glenn and Maggie?
I don't know. I think he's over the dictatorship. He as much said so. This isn't your call. Like, this is my family, and you don't get to say who leaves and who goes.
But last episode, we're following Rick. We're with Rick. Every single person went down the line and told Abraham we're with Rick.
Right. But I guess things have changed. And
it felt to me like this was a ploy on Glenn's part to keep Abraham there and maybe buy them time to change his mind. But it didn't work out that way.
Well, and there's, several feedbacks of people wondering, why did Abraham leave?
Yeah.
Like
he's very convinced about Eugene.
Once the mortal threat to Eugene is over, why can't you spare a day or two to wait for the people that did save your life and help save your life?
I don't know. He's gung-ho.
Yeah.
Gung-ho. Yeah, I think we can move on.
Sure.
Sasha tends to Bob while they talk about his bite, and he plays a little bit more of the good apocalypse game.
She doesn't want to not hear it.
Yeah, she's not happy about that. Bob says he there's the end and the beginning of things, but he really likes the middle. I thought that was typical a Bobism, the positive Bob mode. Then we get Rick laying out the plans for taking out Gareth's camp. And then Sasha decides that she wants to go on the mission. Tyrese says that she should forgive Gareth instead.
Oh,
she's
God.
confused by this. So she leads him with a knife and heads out to kill.
Here's
Gareth
the
with the
thing.
group.
I think Tyrese had the germ of a good point that wouldn't have made me piss blood when he's like, when Bob wakes up or when Bob is in pain or if it's Bob's time to go, he's going to want to look up and see your face.
Yeah.
And that's worth more than revenge.
Mm-hmm.
But preaching this forgiveness of Gareth and all this shit, it just makes me want to punch him in the face.
Yeah. Tyrese has gone soft, way soft.
It's not even soft. It's
turned into a jellyfish.
I mean, soft is still it has some kind of substance. He's a vapor.
Yeah.
He has no resistance. No, I just don't get it.
Gaseous.
Yeah, and I keep on thinking that, okay, well, maybe this is the turning point. Maybe this is the turning point. Do you think sticking the knife in Bob's head at the end will finally be what they need to let Tyrese move forward as a character? Because I just don't get this.
So.
I just don't get this, man.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about forgiveness of Gareth, an avowed cannibal that's out to kill them.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously tied up in his experience with Carol. I just don't know what in that experience would make him want to forgive cannibals.
Would he not kill Lizzie? Does he think that was a bad call?
From what I gathered at the Walker Stalker panel, I don't think so. Like, I don't think he thinks that was the wrong thing to do, but I don't know that his character would have been able to do it.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
I can buy that. And, him describing later on in the episode that when Rick asks, how was it for you getting away from or getting the Terminus? He goes, it killed me.
Yeah.
Clearly, it caused a big toll on him. I just thought that him preaching forgiveness for Gareth's crew was a bridge too far.
Sure.
I don't even think Father Gabriel come out of Boxcar A wanting to forgive Gareth.
Probably not. No. So Rick and company stroll out of the church like it's Easter Sunday. They head towards Gareth's camp while they leave all the least capable members behind in some sort of bait and switch maneuver. Gareth moves in on the church and he corners the survivors into listening to his speech for a good solid 6-7 minutes.
So if you are... The other thing, if Garrick's plan, as you're looking out at these people, these badasses leaving the church, and they're walking out single file,
mm-hmm.
and you're trying to ranch these people like cattle, don't you thin the herd a little bit? Is it his goal to literally capture everyone alive?
That's the thing that makes no sense. One of the things that makes no sense, because you can't. I mean, the moment that guns come into play here, you're not going to be able to capture everyone alive.
Hell no. Because what impetus does Rick's group have to surrender?
None. Zero. They know what will happen to them if they do.
Right. I mean, that's one of the things that took the teeth out of his temptation of Father Gabriel. It's like, I mean, I guess Father Gabriel, he's a stranger. He doesn't know these people. But anybody else, if Gareth is like, hey, you sell out your friends and I'll let you go, bullshit you are.
Yeah. Yeah, so the appeal to Gabriel was not a problem for me. I thought it was actually kind of smart.
Yeah, sure.
To try to say, hey, we know that this guy is not part of this group. He doesn't know what we did, so let's get to him.
Sure.
But I just can't believe that you go outside of the church, right, to pick up Bob. Bob has obviously been eaten and dropped off at the doorstep. Somebody takes a shot at you, and then you walk out of this church like you're going to a pool party. Yeah. This is fucking stupid.
Like, even if that's your plan to walk out and say, yeah, we're walking out of here, all of our badass armed, like, Gareth has got to know that that he's around
out there.
The area.
Why wouldn't he shoot at you? And why would you? Okay, not even the question, why wouldn't he shoot at you? Why wouldn't you think he was going to shoot at you?
Right. Was also part of Rick's plan? People that want to send me an email defending us, they're like, well, maybe we'll take a shot or two. Maybe we'll lose 1 or 2 people, but that's acceptable losses.
No, he certainly isn't thinking that way.
There's
no way.
Again, and he's got night vision equipment. I feel like if I would have accepted, even though I think it's still risky, I would have bought them going out the back door of the church or out a side window or something as Hollywood for This Is Sneaky.
Yes.
And I've got night vision equipment and I can scan the perimeter and see what's going on. And these guys don't. They don't have that equipment and I can get the upper hand. I would have accepted that. This plan literally makes no sense for anyone involved.
It makes no sense. You're absolutely right. It makes no sense from the other side either, because Gareth strolls up to the church like he owns the place.
Right.
He knows they have night vision. He
Right.
knows they have rifles with scopes and silencers. He's not even worried that they're going to use them
where
from
they're
the window.
outnumbered 10-1.
Yeah.
And they have a bad tactical position. That's rough parity. And if you throw in Rick's night vision equipment, it's not even that. Now, I mean, and Rick told him he's got all this shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just really puzzling. It doesn't make sense.
No one is
from any
concerned
side.
for their lives in this scene. And
No.
it's shocking to me.
Yeah.
All right. So there's also the sign that Eugene looks at while they're huddled in the church there.
Oh, speaking
Says,
of Eugene,
stupidity is also a gift of God, but one mustn't misuse it.
yes, writers of The Walking Dead.
Oh, no. No.
Do you think? I also thought it was really funny about Eugene and Abraham's like father-son exchange. Like, Eugene, let's
Okay.
get packed up and go. I don't wanna. Now, okay. I
Yeah.
thought that was really good. Again,
Hilarious.
Eugene, if God bless him, if we didn't have it, there'd be no humor in the show at all.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
But the real meaning of that sign is to not abuse people who are stupid, like to not take advantage of stupidity.
sure.
Uh,
Although that's the thing,
which
this would have played a lot better if Rick's group was also not being stupid and take advantage of the Terminites' overconfidence and stupidity.
sure. Okay, so at the last moment, Rick comes in and he blasts off
Wait.
Gareth's fingers.
Wait, you're moving way too fast. I got way more nits to pick.
Oh boy.
So Father Gabriel's whole congregation outside, clamoring at the doors, prying at the windows and doors.
Yep.
Can't get in.
Yeah.
Gareth's crew gets in with a fucking Bowie knife in 3 seconds.
Yep.
It's just they're in.
Yeah.
Gareth, I think Father
I think you could have
Gabriel's
got in that
congregation,
door with a credit card, honestly.
I think Gabriel's congregation might have wanted to die.
Maybe
Were
so.
insufficiently motivated to get inside.
they were.
Oh man. All right. Anyway,
Is that enough nits?
there you
Can we move
go.
on?
I picked my share of nits.
All right. So Rick comes in, he blasts Gareth's fingers off. Gareth begs for his life, and Rick kills him with the red machete, just like he said he would. And the rest of the group then kills the Terminites.
Yeah.
And Tyrese and Gabriel look pretty shocked by this carnage.
Oh, okay. Tyrese, fine. It's
Yeah.
stupid, annoying, but
That is his character
it's
at the
his
moment.
character at the moment to be shocked. I think it's hilarious that he made sure to open the door wide so the only two kids in the whole thing could get a full view and full sounds of all the butchery going on out there. But whatever. Father Gabriel, whatever.
Yep.
Glenn and Maggie. The fuck is wrong with you two?
So I wonder if this plays into their commitment to leave. So are they actually disturbed by what they did here? The way the savageness,
I don't know.
the brutality with which Rick killed this guy.
Their acting says yes. Maggie's cold reply to Gabriel saying, "This is the house of the Lord," saying it's just
Not
four walls and
anymore.
a roof,
Yeah.
says no. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess what it is like the people actively participating in the butchery, like they got their adrenaline running and all that. But the people that it looks like there weren't enough Terminites to butcher to go around. So Glenn and Maggie are just sitting watching this, and maybe it's just like, wow, this is fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
You can say this is fucked up while still genuinely or generally approving of the proceedings.
I suppose so. I just wonder if it doesn't weigh into their decision to leave, to
I don't
actually
think so.
go with Abraham the next
Because
day.
Abraham's a butcher too. What the fuck?
Yeah, he goes in and kills people.
Yeah. And he looks like at least as much as a loose cannon. I mean, it's the devil you know versus the devil you don't, except for in this case, both devils are hacking at people with bladed weapons and beating them to death with blunt instruments. So
Sure. All right.
and that's the thing. There is no difference between Gareth and Rick except for intent and motivation. Like they're just as vicious and
Yeah.
ruthless.
Yeah.
It's just Rick wouldn't hurt innocent people.
I feel like we talked about that either last episode or the instant cast.
Yeah.
One of the two.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I'm with you there. He will, however, so he will claim that he doesn't want to waste any bullets, but he will shoot your fingers off.
Well, I mean, you got to cow them into submission at first because they do have guns.
Why? Just blast him in the head.
but then you're wasting bullets. You take two
No,
bullets.
you blasted his fingers off.
Yeah.
Instead, aim 3 inches to the right and take his head off.
You're right. I don't know.
They wanted to do the red machete.
Again, that made sense in the comic context. It didn't make sense. And the other, so let's go back and talk about the tactics again. Like I said on Instant Cast, because not everybody listens to full cast. Listen to the Instant Cast.
Yeah.
If Rick's plan was to lure these guys in, the ideal time to drop them was when they're all standing on the church porch.
Stuck between the church and them.
You go and you can even, like, people are like, well, what if the bullets go through the church? You know where when bullets for sure go through church? When you're at the one end of the church and the other guys are in front of the fucking door that has all your loved ones in it and you're shooting their heads. That's when bullets are for damn sure going to go through the church and maybe hit innocent people. You know where they're not?
You can't get crossfire.
If you outflank them at the side and you got them in a crossfire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just... And I thought, I don't know. It drove me crazy. It still drives me crazy to think about it. And I just don't think there's any defense.
But sure there is. If they had shot them on the porch, Rick wouldn't be able to kill him with the red machete. Just like if he had shot him in the head instead of the fingers.
Well, he could have shot him in the ass or, like, you know, yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's what they wanted to do. They set out on this mission. Let's make Rick into Babe Ruth and let's do this regardless of any tactical problems.
They still could have shot him, and Gareth could have been like gasping for breath on the porch, and Rick come and finish him off.
Sure.
And it still have been just as badass. I again, it's not my fault that Rick Babe Ruth his kill shot, and then the writers had to do everything to make it awesome. And I understand there's a lot of people that had no problems with any of these things either. They're just watching it and they're not thinking about, like, why would they do that? Why did it?
I guess that's fine. If you want to watch Walking Dead that way, watch Walking Dead that way, right? I don't care. I'm just saying that I can't watch it that way.
I know, man.
I really can't.
And it's
not schlocky enough is the problem.
Right.
Because I can get into B-movie bullshit zombie stuff, but this is not supposed to be it.
You know, there were people that were wanting us to call bullshit on Carol's heroics at Terminus. I don't feel like Carol made stupid choices. No. Carol got lucky in a couple things, and things lined up for her to succeed. I mean, like, God, what is she trying to do? Oh no! What she knows about this Terminus place is should tell her that she shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
That's the thing that really drives me crazy. And I know everyone's different, but
yep. So in this scene, Michonne gets her sword back. That's kind of cool.
Sure. Do you think Rick will tell Michonne's sword about all the cold-hearted smack she talked about not missing her?
Maybe.
Hey, I might not be my place to say, but Michonne says she did not miss you one bit, and I thought you should know that as a true friend.
Yeah, he might do that. I don't think so.
Drama.
Then we talked about Maggie saying this is just 4 walls and a roof, which is the name of the episode. Then the whole group says goodbye to Bob. They line up for a grim procession. He thanks Rick for taking him in, and he reminds him not to become a monster. And then later, Sasha asks Bob, what good comes out of this bad? But then he dies before he can answer. And Sasha gets ready to kill him, but then Tyrese comes in, takes the knife, and does it himself.
Yeah. I thought everything that Lawrence Gilliard Jr. did with Bob here was awesome. Yeah. It's a shame that we're going to miss what I thought was really good chemistry between Bob and Sasha.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the new Glenn and Maggie, or were the new Glenn and Maggie.
And now that the Glenn and Maggie aren't there, you kind of wanted a Glenn and Maggie, right?
Yeah.
Well, I have a feeling we'll see more of Glenn and Maggie. I don't think they're done.
No, I don't think they're done either. I'm kind of over them. They're going to have to actively win me back, which if you'd have said that at the beginning of season 3, I would have been like, no way.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I like, again, I hope this is Tyrese turning a corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's super wrong-headed if they are, plotting out this whole season and like, well, we want kind of Tyrese to vacillate between doing what he needs to do and, respecting the life of people and not being willing to kill zombies, because we want it to be really significant when he kills his sister, takes that burden from his sister.
Yeah.
If that's what they were doing, I think it's dumb, because a big brother doing that for his sister is going to be meaningful no matter what the circumstances. That's a touching moment between the family member. Like, look, I know, look, sis, I got this. Don't worry about this. You don't need the extra weight of, oh, now Tyrese is actually going to stick a knife through a recently dead human.
But if you do have that extra weight, doesn't it?
No, I just told you.
Doesn't it make it better?
No.
Why?
Oh,
why? It makes it.
Have you been annoyed with Tyrese the last 2 weeks?
I have, because I know he's killed walkers. If he had a problem killing people only, it might not be such an issue. But
this guy's dead. I'm just saying that you just answered your own question. Like the fact that you have been annoyed with the character, and I want to like Tyrese. I love Chad Coleman. Tyrese is one of my favorite characters in the comic book, and it's somewhat interesting to invert him and make him this like sensitive guy. I just don't like the back and forth. I'm so mad that you killed my girlfriend. I'm gonna beat you to death, Rick. Oh, yeah. I can't attack these walkers. Oh shit, there's a shitload of walkers surrounded. I'm gonna kill them all. Oh, I'm back to sulking about my sister not being able to find her. Oh, there's walkers in the vine. I'm gonna be an aggressive asshole and endanger the group just so I can kill these goddamn walkers. And now I can't kill this walker. I got a baby in my hands. It's just fuck. Damn, man. Stop with the flip-flopping and waffling.
Is it too much like a Laurie flashback for you?
It's this show does that. The show likes to walk in circles.
I feel like there's a good way to do that, and there's the Walking Dead way to do that. Those are not the same thing.
And I get it. I mean, there's probably arguments to make against that. Maybe this is realistic, and maybe this is what real people do. But I'd like to remind people that I'm watching television not for reality. I'm looking for heightened reality. I'm looking for, stuff that's better than real life. It's more interesting than real life.
Dramatized reality. All right, let's move on to the scene where Abraham and Glenn and Maggie and Tara, all those people leave. They give Rick a map of their route to DC before they do that. And I went through and I did a freeze frame on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see exactly where they are.
Sure.
They are on I-85, about 60 miles outside of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Got another 550 miles to go to get to DC.
It's a long way.
Wow. So if they travel 60 miles every 5 seasons, and they've got 550 miles to go, we're in for a 35-season show.
No, that's not going to happen. What do you think about Sasha making a homemade cross when they're fixing to abandon a church that's loaded with really awesome crosses? You can't take a cross from the Lord's house.
No, I'm sure Gabriel would not have allowed that. Or, well, he would have complained and then they would have done it anyway.
He offered a sofa. Yeah. In for a sofa, in for cross. That's what the expression is, right?
That's a cross too far. Sorry.
Don't have any secondhand crosses? Some scratch and dent crosses you can get rid of, Gabriel?
Nope.
Okay. Well, at least we asked.
Fair point, though. Yeah. Rick then goes over to help Tyrese dig some graves. I got to say, the shot of him looking at the map and then like swinging around and panning up Rick and over to Tyrese was pretty cool.
Sure.
I like that.
I also like Abraham's love letter to Rick.
Yeah. Sorry, I was an asshole.
Yeah. The world needs Rick Grimes.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So Rick goes over and helps Tyrese dig some graves and asks him how it was for him trying to get to Terminus. Tyrese says it killed him, and then Rick disagrees.
Why is Tyrese digging a grave for the Terminite people?
We need to stop asking why with Tyrese at this point, right?
I'm just saying, like, they had a long-standing bury our own, burn the others policy that I find, whatever. Taking the time to dig holes to put these assholes in.
So
they attract walkers, maybe?
No, they're
stinking dead people at this point, or they will.
You
be
want stinking
soon.
Dead people around, don't you?
Yeah,
that's how you camouflage yourself from the stinking dead people.
Sure. I mean, bury Bob. Sure, bury Bob.
Yeah,
for sure.
Bob can go in a grave. I don't know, man. I feel like Tyrese is I don't even want to comment about Tyrese's character
All right.
because I feel like
Fair enough.
neither of us have a good grip on it at this
Fair
point.
enough.
And then that night, Michonne's out pondering her sword on the church steps when Gabriel comes out.
Making up for lost time.
Yeah, she's looking at it. She's not sure if she wants it or not, but she's got it. And then Gabriel comes out for midnight chat, and he's haunted by what he did.
Mhm.
He's telling Michonne that.
This was a good scene. This was
yeah.
this,
I thought so.
You know, that seems like a plausible thing a person where will this ever stop, and Michonne can speak at that. She's been Michonne and Rick both have been psychologically damaged individuals that have more or less come through okay on the other side, but it was a long way to get there, and she could talk about it.
Sure.
Also, you need to stop being a puss and learn how to kill walkers, Gabriel. Like, it cracked me up how fast he noped back into the church.
Leaving Michonne on her own.
Yeah, Michonne's out in the dark, keeping a lookout, whatever. Okay. Why, when she hears rustling in the bushes, does she get her sword out and go investigate instead of like knocking on the door and being like, hey, there's something outside here. Can I get someone to back me up? Or even if she said if she told Gabriel, go in and tell go in and get somebody. But these people just walking off into the woods in the middle of the night. You don't have to have a response for that, by the way.
Yeah, I don't care to think about that.
Okay.
Honestly.
What about Daryl just jump scaring an armed person?
I didn't feel like it was really a jump scare.
Really?
I feel like he kind of crawled out of the bushes.
You couldn't do like a or something like that?
You could say, hey, Michonne, it's Daryl. Yeah. You could say something like that. You could,
or if he'd tripped and been like, bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's Daryl.
Yeah.
They need a code word.
This bush is bullshit.
They need a challenge response system.
They do. They really do. It doesn't feel like this group is very organized for as badass as they are.
And for as many years they've been doing this.
Yeah, not super organized. Anyway, Daryl comes out of the bushes and he says he's with someone, but it's probably not Carol. I'm thinking it's not Carol.
It's a cliffhanger for cliffhanger's sake.
The fact that he doesn't answer the question, where's Carol, and has kind of like a concerned look on his face, to me says that's not Carol. Whoever's coming out of those bushes.
I totally agree.
Okay.
I also don't understand why they make this a cliffhanger. This has got to be the dumbest attempt at a cliffhanger I've ever seen. Like, what if it's Beth? What if it's someone we don't know? What if it's Morgan?
Then it just falls flat with a fart. Like,
I mean, this is.
Or what if it is Carol? Like, what's the point in that?
I mean, the cliffhanger is, if it is Carol, then I'm going to riot. I'm going to flip tables and be like, fuck you. But if it's one of the other people, like, show them the surprise is not who it is. It's how they got there and why. Yeah. Don't they understand that?
No.
Like, I'm not tuning in next week because I need to find out who Daryl brought back.
Yeah.
The questions about
I need to find out how Daryl brought them
how
back.
And why in the story.
Yeah.
God damn. Why don't they get this, man?
I'm with you there. I don't agree with all of your complaints, but that one.
It's just like the Bob thing.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Like, let's, I don't, we want to save the tainted meat part to open up the show.
But it doesn't, but neither of those work as well if you don't include both of them.
It's like they don't understand pacing. Like the whole, do you build gradually to 10 max and release? Like,
I don't know, man.
Doing a cliffhanger like this just I feel like fucks up the flow.
I don't feel like I could do a better job though. So what am I gonna say?
Really?
What am I gonna say?
Okay. I'd say it's
I've
Carol,
never made a TV
or it's
show.
Beth, or it's Morgan, or it's some mysterious stranger.
Well, if it's Carol, there's no reason to question like how or why she got there. That would just be terrible.
Right.
But
I'm just saying it's
if
probably
it's Morgan, that would be kind of awesome, and then you would want to show that at the end of the episode.
Yeah, like if
like they did with the Morgan.
That's a teaser, which is different than a cliffhanger. That is interesting.
Yeah,
but that is like a non-cliffhanger. I don't know.
All right, well that's it for the episode, man.
Yep.
Why don't we get to some feedback?
Well, first we got to pay some bills, and a couple things you can do to support the Bald Move Empire. We've got Patreon, we've got Subbable, Patreon.com/baldmove and subbable.com/baldmove. Patreon is where you want to go to get extra access. For example, if you're a top level Patreon supporter, you could be watching this podcast live on video right now. Actually, not even right now, like 2 hours ago. You'd have gone back into the past or future and you could be watching it right now. How cool is that? Also,
back to the fast and futurist.
Also, ad-free. You don't have to be listening to me flapping my gums trying to tell you what you can do to support us anymore. You're like, I've supported you already, fucker. Get out of my ear holes. You can make that happen with Patreon. Or what if it's like, hey, Jim and Aaron, I want to know what you think of Sons of Anarchy. And we're like, fuck off. We don't watch Sons of Anarchy. You can go to subbable.com and be like, I'm clicking a button. You're watching Sons of Anarchy now, you sons of bitches. Boom. You can bring that pain, and you can do it on patreon.com and subbable.com. Check it out to see how you can support independent podcasting. Also, I know there's people that we drive crazy with our nitpicking critiques. There's other people that love it. And there's there's not a lot of podcasts. That's the thing. Like, we're actually kind of positioning ourselves in worse shape by just telling it as we see it every week, because the weeks when we're like, we love the season premiere, the quote unquote haters are like, you guys have gone soft. And when we're like, we really had problems with the episode, the lovers say, you guys are just hating to be hate. We would be a arguably more successful show if we just pick attack and go with it.
We're a lot like Tyrese in that way.
We're a lot like Tyrese in that.
The trouble with Tyrese is he doesn't have our method to the madness.
That's the thing. Like, if it was all just a lover cast, like if it was all just a Talking Dead type stuff, it wouldn't be a very interesting world. And I think we have if you haven't gone to patreon.com or subbable.com/baldmove, do it for the video alone. Because we have a pretty fun, I think, a funny take where we compare our coverage of the season 3 finale, which you and I were not a fan of, with what that would look like if we were an AMC sponsored show. So if nothing else, check it out and get a few laughs. Also, amazon.baldmove.com. It still works, people. Jeff Bezos is a penny hoarding son of a bitch.
We're taking him down.
We're taking him down 1 penny at a time.
Yeah.
We're taking him by the roll now. And he's running scared. He is running scared. He's got a fetish for copper.
Copper shortages at Amazon.
He will not let that stuff go. And you can help us drain him out. Clean out all his pennies by going to amazon.baldmove.com. Same great products, same great pricing, same great shipping. No extra cost to you. Just bringing the pain on Bezos.
Yep.
All about the pain in this on this segment. Of course, you can always rate and review us on iTunes. That's how we get a wider audience. That's how we get bigger. And yeah, thanks for all that you do to support us. We really appreciate it. And now we will get to the feedback. Jeff M says, in your podcast, Aaron gave this is going back an episode. Some of these, it's like not often do I go back, but we got a couple of takes so strong that I had to go back to last week's episode. Jeff M said, Aaron gave Daryl some crack for quickly knocking out the tail lamps in the car that he and Carol found by saying that was pretty dumb because he should have been knocking out the headlamps instead. You guys then both complained about how the headlamps would come on automatically and that would give away their attempt to follow the car with the cross on it. He lowers the boom. I am an automotive exterior lighting engineer at a major U.S. auto manufacturer.
Oh, shit.
So I thought I would clear up something real quick. All cars allow you to manually turn off the headlamps. They are not all automatic. Could you tell me how to do that on a 2004 Pontiac Vibe? Because I swear to God, that'd be useful information. The automatic headlamps are a new and very common feature in vehicles, but you have to set the switch to automatic position for this to work. Most people just put them into this auto mode and never touch it again. So I can see how you'd imagine that this is the default. However, Carol or Daryl could simply turn the switch to the manual off position and drive incognito with no headlights. But Daryl was smart to knock out the taillights because you can't turn off your brake lights.
Yeah.
They are most definitely automatic and always on for good reason. By busting out the tail lamps, their car won't be blasting red light behind them when they brake, which might give away their position. But even though this was smart of Daryl to bust out the tail lamps, all cars manufactured after 1986 are required to have a high mount stop lamp, which is that stop lamp that is in the middle of the car near their rear window. Daryl unfortunately did not break that lamp, so they'd be giving themselves away when they hit the brakes with this lamp. But good idea, Daryl. All right, we've been schooled, Jim.
Yeah.
I cannot argue automotive exterior lighting with an automotive exterior lighting engineer.
Neither can I.
It's just not going to happen.
You could. It'd be pointless.
So you win this round, Jeff M. Kimberly, wait. I think I skipped somebody. Andrew F. There we go. Says, I have the comics, but I haven't read up this point yet and wasn't made super clear in the episode. Was the reason that Gareth and his group attacked a church as quickly as they did because after they found out they had eaten tainted meat in the form of Bob's leg, they realized they were going to die and wanted to try to take Rick's group down with them first?
I don't think so.
I asked this because when Bob shows him he's been bitten, the rest of Gareth's group freaks out about the meat being tainted, but then this panic doesn't seem to come up again at all in the rest of the episode. I'm not sure if it's because Gareth was right when he told them that the meat wasn't tainted anymore since it was cooked, though. Honestly, this never comes up in the comics, too. There's not, less than an hour or two elapsed between them eating the tainted meat and Rick coming to lower the boom on them. Pretty much just like this episode.
Okay.
So we don't have a clear answer either way. I don't feel like it was out of revenge. I do feel like Gareth...
No, they would have gone guns blazing.
Yeah, I do feel like Gareth was correct in his assertion that, or at least they believed he was correct in his assertion that cooking the meat thoroughly would kill the zombie virus, but more on this later.
Okay.
Kimberly from the beautiful Hudson Valley in New York. I get your reaction to Rick and company leaving the terms to go to the church, or leaving the terms to get into the church. The terms are not fighters. They were in a settled place for what seemed like a long time, so I don't really fault them for not being tacticians. But I really thought it was all about the symbolism of the moment when Rick's group walks out of frame and the Terminites walk in. They could have been the same group. Both groups are going to do the same thing, destroy the other group, right? To show it had us following the Terminites and we were with them from the beginning and bought into their psychosis, then wouldn't we think Rick's group were the brutal savages? Probably not.
Not if I have to buy into their psychosis. No.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's the distinguishing feature.
But he's also so I don't know. To me, symbolism is all great, but it can't get in the way of storytelling. And if that's what they were going for, these groups are the same people, it got in the way of storytelling. Because at least for me, the people that don't notice aren't going to notice good tactics from bad tactics. The people that do are going to, and you're fucking with us. So she continues, the moment when Michonne got her katana back was almost a sad moment for me. And I don't think she was happy to see it deep down.
Nope.
I did not get that at all. But you said you did. The fact that she was bittersweet about the sword coming back.
Yeah, she didn't want that sword back.
It makes perfect sense in light of her dialogue of last episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with the emailer.
I thought it was a more complicated reaction than that she had almost put away the person who used that weapon and was more in touch with her humanity. But then when she saw the katana, it was almost like a slap back to reality. No, I think that's a great take, Kimberly. Mr. Rock in the ROK said, one unspoiled take. You were curious about the spoiler folks' take on the episode. Here's one. This is my favorite episode of the season. Yes, I found some aspects of it problematic, but these took me out of the story to a far lesser extent than aspects of Carol's Rambo rescue. And while I had suspicions that Rick and company would double back, I still enjoyed the tension in the church. Would Carl be forced to kill his first humans in his restoration of humanity? Would the situation force Tyrese's hand to do what he couldn't when no one was looking? How would Father Gabriel or Eugene handle the melee? Would Bob turn from within as danger neared from without? The only thing I suspected was the cavalry would return in the nick of time. The only thing I knew was that Judith would cry at an inopportune moment. So there is a person who was gripped by the drama in the church. And that's the thing.
And not gripped by the season opener.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with what went on inside the church once they were there. It's the getting to and the planning involved that really did not allow me to really immerse myself into the situation.
Sure. I would be super curious. I don't know if he wrote in when we covered episode 1, but I am curious why.
No, I'm sure he did.
Episode 1 didn't do it for him, but episode 3 did.
There's lots of people that just call bullshit on Carol Ramboing up, and the fact that it only took one firework to blow up the thing. And
well, do you want to watch her shoot 4 fireworks? How many? It would take a lot of fireworks to try and hit that.
I don't know.
Because every firework is going to go off a little differently with a little more gunpowder, a little farther, a little shorter. It's not like they're consistent at all.
I'm the wrong guy to ask, because would you care to guess how many times I put a firework down a tube and practice the angle and pretend artillery barrage?
I don't know if the
number's not 0.
It's a high number or a low number.
It's a surprising high.
Okay, no.
You can buy 144 moon travelers for like 50 cents come 4th of July.
Yeah.
That's half an afternoon's entertainment just right there, man.
And from hundreds of yards away, you could hit.
I'm not saying this is a moon traveler. Come on, let's settle down.
All right.
If I scaled up that moon traveler, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Glenn P. I'm not a comic book reader, so I loved it when
I stuck to Black Cats, by the way.
Black Cats.
Yeah.
So you
just
need
the
to,
little foaming.
You need to get propellant into the mix to
I know.
really get your blood pumping.
Yeah.
Glenn P. I'm not a comic book reader, so I loved it when Bob revealed that he had been bit and even cheered a little for his bit of screwing up Garrick's little soliloquy. I hated that the little hipster D-bag, and I hated his smugness. I loved it, and I cheered even louder when they revealed the machete was on Rick's belt and his little no before he got hacked to bits. And Sarah's prison shanking and baseball cap was even better. Like I said, I'm not a comic book reader. I really loved the way the hunters thought they were outsmarting our heroes and thought maybe Rick was leading his people to go to the school to fool the hunters because he doesn't trust Gabriel. And I thought maybe he was working with the hunters. But at the end of the day, it's a show about the zombies, and maybe I don't put too much thought into the logistics. All the things you're talking about here were good. They're not the things I didn't like.
Okay.
The things I didn't like was how they got into the church and all that. You're right. It was badass when Rick hacked that guy apart with the machete, and it was cathartic to see Sasha just go ape shit on Ballcap.
Yeah. I love seeing
do
Bob
what her brother could
scream,
not.
I'm tainted meat.
Yeah, that
You're
was
eating
and
tainted
that,
meat, you pricks.
that was straight out of the comics, which is why it's so good.
Sure.
I mean, what if he? So that's what I'm saying to people. Like, what if he didn't? What if he said something else? What if he just continued to sob because Kirkman really wanted us to get into the desperation of Bob and thought it would take the audience out if someone had a defiant reaction? Would you be sitting there and say, well, you know, Aaron, the comics are the comics, a TV show to TV show? You'd be like, no, that sounds way lamer than the comic version. That's all I'm saying, man. I'm not talking bitching because it's different. I'm talking because I feel like it's objectively worse. But that's one man. That's just this dead man's opinion.
It's subjectively worse.
Megan B said, you may think I'm totally crazy, but I honestly think I'm starting to like Father Gabriel. It's nice to see someone who survived that side of the group, who's not as strong as they are. I almost feel like that he's oddly enough a pretty relatable character. If I were in a situation, I'd be all awesome and badass like Michonne or Carol, but in all reality, I'd probably end up hiding for a while like he did. It sounds weird and cowardly, I know, but what you gonna do?
Nah, it sounds like most people's reactions, I'd imagine.
First off, you're totally right. Something I spend a lot of time thinking about. What do I do in that situation? Second, it's super awesome this show has 2, 3, 4 badass women she could have said about, instead of trying to, you know, stick with think about season 1. Would you be able to say I would like to be all awesome and badass like Lori, like Carol,
Andrea?
like Andrea? No, I do feel like this show is pretty awesome in that regard.
Yeah,
that there's tons of ass kicking women, and I love it. Michael H said, oh man, this is the first of many people having a lot of disturbing insights into the eating of human beings. And I love it. Michael H said, I was interested in a discussion of the viability of cannibalism as a source of food.
Where are you?
So I consulted my daughter's senior at NYU studying nutrition. I thought you'd like to hear her thoughts on this. Hannah, human flesh should substitute for animal's flesh as a rich source of energy and nutrients. You're correct that high temperatures between 120 and 150 degrees Celsius should destroy all harmful agents in the tissues. It would have had about the same nutritive content as animal flesh, so you'd have problems if this is all you ate, similar to a diet of 100% mutton or pork. A better option is what we called the Soylent Green scenario. If you had access to a rendering machine, you could capture a greater share of the body's nutrients by transforming the entire body, bones, brains, hair, skin, organs,
into McDonald's chicken nuggets,
as well as the muscles and fat. This would boost the nutritive value of the human body close to 90% of what you'd need to live healthily. This would also work on animals, i.e. eating the entire lamb or squirrel is better for you than just the tasty bits. Continuing this discussion, we talked about the value of putrefied flesh as an energy source. Hannah says that as the body decays, the nutritive value drops as a function of decomposition. You can eat a year-old stinking zombie corpse as long as you cook it thoroughly. You lose mass with decay, and the remaining tissue becomes less valuable energetically speaking because coprophagic bacteria are consuming them. leaving waste products. So you could happily dump the most ranked zombie into the aforementioned rendering machine, but your yield will decrease. The subsequent stinking zombie paste coming out the back end would be less nutritious gram for gram than ground Carl or Beth.
There is nothing about palatability here.
No. You mix with some tang.
Yeah.
You mix with some tang, you'll be all right.
Okay.
There are some nutrients the body requires but does not store, such as vitamin D. You'd still have to find ways to get this, like walking around in sunlight.
Yeah.
Hannah's looking to know what she finds out. Please do. And also, I'd love to know her ground zombie recipe, because mine could use a bit more work. I mean, sriracha only does so much.
Wow.
Who am I kidding? Sriracha makes it 100% edible. Any comments on this, Jim?
That's horrifying. That's horrifying, but kind of awesome.
David C. said, I have to call some bullshit on the cut of meat Gareth and his merry band of cannibals chose to eat. I recently ran across a video of where a backpacker should choose to cut wilderness, and all he had was his buddy to eat. I thought your senses of humor would greatly appreciate the content. Yeah, I will link this video in the show show notes. It's a video where a backpacker who does some kind of backpacking channel explains the best cut of meat on a human being. Apparently, the legs are the worst. If you're wanting to preserve fresh meat, the tricep is a good area to go for, so you can remove the arm to the tricep. But the best parts of people, like the pig, are the bacon areas.
The ribs.
The stomach, the ribs, the back, and the ass. The ass also apparently is good eating.
A rump roast.
Avoid the shoulders unless you got a crock pot in about 12 hours.
Yeah.
But anyway, check that out. It's pretty funny. He also says, have you considered doing a cast on Sons of Anarchy?
Nope.
We are too far behind.
7 seasons. There's no way we'll catch up.
It's not that I'm not interested in the show. It's just I never started watching it. The Nattercast does a really good show on that. You should check them out. Google for the Nattercast. And they do a week by week episode breakdown similar to ours. So check that out. Ed, formerly of Chicago, says, I have a quick question. Why was Tyrese and Rick digging 2 graves? I thought our group followed along the Glenn saying of bury our own, burn the rest. If that's true, who is the second grave for?
Himself.
Well, I found it interesting that why Tyrese and Rick are digging, Tyrese literally has 1 foot in the grave.
Oh, no. And he says it killed me.
Foreshadowing.
Tyrese is dead next episode.
Foreshadowing. Ashley H said, Aaron, I wanted to address your complaint about the comic book changes that you don't seem to understand. I don't understand. How can she get through to me, Jim? Kirkman has said on several occasions he doesn't want comic book readers to know what's going to happen next. So why that's basically no reason at all. It's his reason. I don't think that's going to change. I want to stab myself every time I listen to you compare something to the comics and you don't understand why it's different. I get it. Different, equally good would be fine, but you feel it's a lesser version. I get it, but it's not going to change. I would like to direct Kirkman to the circulation of his comic books, which last I checked were hovering around 36,000 a month, and the fucking number of people that watch Walking Dead, which last I saw was 17 something million. Who are you really trying to save here, Mr. Kirkman? This is bullshit. I get it. It's his reason. It's not going to change, but I'm going to still bitch about it.
You're saying 95% of the audience hasn't read the comic.
I'm saying 99.99% of the audience hasn't read the comic.
So what's the point in making a big reason for changing major story points that are good on their own?
Sure.
Just for the sake of sparing the few handful of people who have watched it or have read it.
Yeah. And again, I'm not pissed about them changing. I'm pissed about him substituting. And that's the thing. It's not a change. It's a fucking remix.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you killed Dale. And that's one of the reasons. But you've brought the exact same storyline that you've substituted different characters into.
Yeah. Why not just have Dale unless there's something in Dale's storyline that you didn't like and you wanted to kill him off early because he didn't even want to do that part.
Probably because Jeffrey DeMunn didn't want anything to do with the show after Frank Darabont left. I mean, if you want to get a little meta,
yeah, sure.
There's a lot of
definitely heard of that
behind the scene reasons. But anyway, for the record, I'm a comic book reader that very much enjoyed this episode. I'm also glad that I didn't know what was going to happen next. But you did, Ashley. You did. Did you honestly not know that Rick was going to come in and get the drop on Gareth and butcher them all? So
Yeah, they
how much of a
haven't-
surprise was it
Sure.
that it happened in the church instead of the school? I just don't. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the thing with
Stuff like Andrea is kind of a mix up. I feel like, you know, we complained about the stuff that happened with Andrea. We didn't like Andrea very much. That was a big departure from the comics.
Sure, Andrew's a badass in the comics.
Yeah. So there are
in fact,
times
Andrea is the sharpshooter that blew off Gareth's finger in the comics.
what I'm saying is there are times where they genuinely do switch things up, and that keeps her guessing.
Yeah.
And so when things do play out the way that they do in the comic books, it's not like, oh, of course they did because they have to.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh, they did decide to do that this time.
Right.
So she doesn't really know if what she expects is going to happen or not.
No, that's true.
So
I mean,
it makes sense.
And that's like I'm with you. Like I kind of am more plot than I would be because there's enough of this remix stuff going on that I can't predict with certainty which way they're going to go with this.
Yeah.
So I like that. I just like if you're going to if you're going to go 90% of the comic storyline, don't fuck up the 10%.
Well, we just want the part that they improvise to be better.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
improvise where you want to correct mistakes in the comic.
Stella is want to call bullshit on bullshit regarding our logic. I call bullshit on your calling bullshit on any theory about this show on the grounds that it doesn't make sense. When does the show ever let something like logic or continuity or realism get in the way of moving through another 44 minutes every week? This applies to A, the zombie virus. Will it make Gareth's crew sick? Who the fuck knows? What do the writers need to do this week? That's what. B, Daryl's inability to track these guys. Sure, maybe Trucker Hat is a serious woodsman who let Carol and Tyrese sneak up on him in the woods. Sure. C, tree marks can't be hobo code because not enough people know what hobo code here in the real world. Bullshit. Just assume everyone in the world of The Walking Dead was once a fervent watcher of Mad Men pre-apocalypse. Sure, I don't know hobo code. You don't know hobo code. And hobos today probably don't even know the hobo code because they are likely, they don't likely need to signal to one another about which house to avoid or what story to tell because who the fuck lets homeless people into their homes for will work for food charity these days? But whatever, this is totally going to be the hobo code. I feel like she got me.
I'm going to pull a Watching Dead listener move here and say, you're not a fan of the show, are you?
Why are you even listening to this podcast if you're going to complain about it? No.
All her points. It's tongue in cheek, obviously.
Stella scored a direct hit.
Yeah.
She sunk my battleship.
Yeah.
Liam
Neeson was on that.
Did he get no, I'm not gonna keep playing games.
Channing Tatum, I think, was also on it.
James T said, I'm a show only watcher, and I must say I'm having trouble not laughing at Abraham. The show's too heavy-handed in hinting that Bob was bitten, and they've made it too obvious that Eugene is full of shit. I can understand the other characters not picking up on it yet, but Abraham has been with this loser for a long time, and he still can't see it. Every time he says, we have to go to Washington, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. Can't wait to see him cry when, if Eugene ever confesses he tricked that ginger rube. Rosita gets a reprieve on this since she isn't as gun-ho about fighting Rick to take Liar up north. It's funny because Abraham is kind of ridiculous, his character appearance and everything, and I kind of want to applaud them for just going with it. But I'm a comic book reader, and I like Abraham. You don't know Abraham.
He feels to me like a Street Fighter character. Is what he feels like.
He should be wearing suspenders with one side unbuckled.
Yeah.
And he's carrying like a big 2x4.
Yeah.
That's right, a 2x4.
2x4. Yeah, he feels like a Street Fighter character. And we talked about this in the instant cast, and it was my initial reaction to the Rick and Abraham stuff. We didn't talk about it in this cast. That was my favorite part of the episode, I think.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Was Rick versus Abraham. Were they going to get in a fight? That real to me. Oh my God. Rick.
I kind of want Rick to. I kind of got Rick too.
I
feel Abraham's such a big dude. He's just going to wildly misunderestimate Christ. Wildly underestimate Rick. And Rick is just going to fight dirty. Like teeth to testicles dirty. Like no holds barred.
Like he'll bite you.
Yeah.
He'll knee you in the crotch.
Yeah.
Gouge your eyes.
He'll put just said he'll put teeth on your balls. Teeth to
I missed
testicles.
that part.
I steamrolled you.
Yeah.
No, teeth to testicles. He will go there and not give a fuck.
Is it going to be like the Bob bite where he goes through the clothes, or is
Yeah.
he going under?
No, through, under, around.
Doesn't matter.
He's coming at those, and it's gonna be.
You hear that, Abraham?
It's not just a bite. It's gonna be like a great white death roll. You know, like just
Yeah, you clamp down and then you just
start
alligator
twisting.
roll on
Just
him.
start
Yeah.
twisting side to side, serration. Get it in there. Abraham just
Meanwhile, Abraham's howling.
yeah, just screaming and high pitched. It'd be a shit show, man.
That I would pay to see.
Rick wins
I would
that.
pay.
by-
I would pay $55 to see that.
I watched
on
Rick
TV.
rip a man's throat out with his teeth. I'm telling you, he could take Abraham.
Yeah.
Abraham. Until I see Abraham rips another man's anatomy out with his teeth.
Yep.
I'm giving it to Rick.
I'm with you.
So, Tim from Australia says, I have no problem with Rick's strategy in luring the Termites into the church. I think if this group had emerged from the bushes and started shooting at Gareth and company, it would have been a riskier plan. For one thing, some of the termites may have fled and escaped and therefore been a danger to the group down the road. That's not a bad point. Secondly, stray bullets flying everywhere could have endangered the people inside the church, unlike the bullets flying when they were taking them down inside the church. This idea of these guys getting all together in a confined place in the dark was a great plan, especially given Rick's night scope. In terms of endangering the people still in the church, I think by this point, everyone in the group is considered a badass. They still had Tyrese, Carl, and Rosita in the church. Carl's a badass. Rosita, I'm not sure about. I've not actually seen her be a badass.
Yeah.
Tyrese might be
Not a
with
badass.
Father Gabriel hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
Although if they threatened Judith, he'd at least beat the piss out of him.
Yeah.
Might not kill him, but he'd beat the piss out of him.
Sure.
They're all more than capable of protecting themselves and Judith if necessary. This kind of bluff is also developing the Rick's favorite plan of choice, and I like that consistency. He did the same thing in the governor's crew back in the prison, which was another tactic I fucking hated. He's referring to the season 3 finale, I believe.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I don't agree at all, but
Okay.
I wanted to read the dissenting opinion.
Yeah. No, there were a lot of them. I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to take representative samples of
Mhm.
people's opinions, and it is kind of a good point about collecting them all. But again, that happened in the comic books. It just happened at the schoolyard. Rick encircled and got the drop on them and didn't put his own people at risk. That's the problem. Kells said, when listening to the instant cast and hearing that the Beth storyline was not part of the comic book, my interest was piqued. Since the writers are taking their own liberties with this storyline, do you think it's possible they will rip off Orphan Black, in which Helena was abducted by a religious cult and held captive for breeding experiments? Number one, you had me at religious cult. Number two, Kells, someone else, I guess, said that this is similar to a plot in Battlestar Galactica, a forced breeding program.
Sure. No spoilers.
Okay. Really, Battlestar. It's been over for like 3-4 years.
No, whatever. Yeah, there's a forced breeding program in that.
Okay. So that's kind of horrific.
And sure, and it was horrific in Battlestar too. Yeah.
It kind of lines up with the flip side of Terminus, yet just as oppressive and evil. Like instead of a death engine, you've got a forced life engine.
Yeah, sure. I think that might be interesting.
Man, it's just different use of human cattle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Rick says, well, you're biased, Rick. It's your group, goddammit. This episode is should I read it in Rick voice? I don't think I can do it. I'm gonna go for it.
All right.
This episode was gripping. It probably had me on the edge of my seat the most in a long time. Jim, I have to call bullshit on your analysis of Father Gabriel. You are telling me that you have never felt remorse for something and held it in. I thought this was played magically by Seth Gilliam. I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to.
I'm having trouble taking this seriously.
He didn't want to share his sins, but he had just been threatened by Sasha, and now Rick, myself was in his face. His repetition of "I always lock the doors" is him trying to justify his mistake, as we all do as humans.
It was so early.
Jim, what do you think?
Are you sure he's talking to me? Did I say something in the instant cast that was like, fuck Gabriel, I don't believe anything
You
he's
did.
saying?
That's exactly what you said.
Well,
I think
I don't remember
I
that.
think we both were saying that we found his performance shaky.
Yeah, and like I said, second time through, not nearly as shaky.
Okay.
I enjoyed it more.
Well, Rick, I admire your Python work, and I appreciate you keeping his group alive for 5 seasons. But I still think Father Gabriel's a little shaky. I think there's a difference between shaky, not sure what to do with this scene, and shaky, I'm scared because these guys are about to beat me to death, and I don't want to confront my sins. But that's just me. Patience B says, I'm new to your cast this season, and I'm already a big fan. I love this episode for the slaughter of the termites, but I'm very annoyed at Maggie and Glenn. Their reaction to the slaughter was ridiculous, especially considering Glenn would be dead if it weren't for Carol, the woman they refused to wait for. They also just left knowing that the only person who has any clue about this Beth's situation just rushed off into the night.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, I don't think Maggie even remembers she has a sister. I think she assumes she died in a prison at this point.
I think the next episode is called Beth Who. Is that right?
Can she show up in a TARDIS?
Sure, why not?
You talked about the monologues and how Rick waited too long to take out the Terminites. I think Rick's group walked in right behind them and just stayed in the dark. Maybe Rick held off until the last possible moment because he knew that the more Gareth talked, the more his evil showed. He knew some in the group were still too soft when it came to killing people, no matter how much they deserved to die. And maybe he was secretly hoping Gareth would just come right out and say, hey, yo, babies are tasty, or something equally horrendous. Just an idea. You know, I would say that was ridiculous, except for that is pretty much the plot of the Walking Dead video game we played last night.
Oh, yeah, no spoilers on that, because that is pretty new.
But you can get that on twitch.tv/baldmove if you want to check it out. We've actually played through all of the episodes of season 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead during this Month of the Dead promotion we've been doing.
They'll be up on our YouTube account pretty soon as well.
Yeah,
because they won't be on Twitch for very long.
Yeah, they rotate them off weirdly. Yeah. If you want to get the go through the YouTube archive, it's on youtube.com/baldmove. There's a playlist for the Walking Dead stuff. So we got 400 days too.
Yeah,
the little in-betweener. Jacob S. said, I was kind of surprised you missed why Rick and his group did what they did and let the Termites into church. It was sort of poetic justice. Remember back when they first got to Terminus, the termites let the group in to make them feel somewhat safe and that no harm would be done to them. Shortly after that, Rick's group realizes what's going on and they realize how dangerous the termites are and they are there to be slaughtered. Now moving forward to the church scene, Rick was in charge of this scene the whole time. He knew that once they left, then Gareth and his group would go into the church. Why did he take so long to get back in? He wanted to make Gareth feel like he was safe, just like they did to Rick's group back in Terminus. He's banking on Gareth's group wanting to eat the rest of the group in the church, which would keep Gareth from shooting their guns, especially if there were walkers nearby. Once Gareth and his group felt in charge and safe, then that's when Rick's headshots and a couple of Gareth's guys, or shoots headshots a couple of Gareth's guys and stays true to his red-handled machete. Jim, would you care to take on Jacob's take?
Yeah. The whole problem with this comes back to the idea that they want to eat each and every single bit of these people, because it just can't happen that way. It can't happen that way. They know that there's going to be a gun battle. People are going to be killed regardless of how they do this.
Also, I don't know the poetic justice is licensed enough to put your young son and daughter at risk for bloodthirsty cannibalization.
Maybe not.
Just because it's poetic.
Yeah,
it's got a nice ring to it. The symbolism and balance. It's so tasty. So tasty, Carl.
I don't know. Without rehashing all the reasons that I hated their plan on both sides, I don't know that I can address this email.
All right, let's move on. Malcolm Me said, why would the termites mow Rick's group down when they left the church? They want them for food. Well, we're gonna dry pie.
Yeah, you got to kill some of them. You got to kill some of them.
Yeah.
There's no way you can get around it.
Yeah, not
because they're gonna kill you.
Yeah,
you better fucking know that.
You know they're gonna kill you.
Yeah,
this is an extinction. You have extinction on one side. You have no reason not to resist.
Yeah.
Giovanni V said, now I don't quite understand why Abraham still wanted to leave despite eliminating an imminent threat to Gabriel. Why wasn't his main reason for wanting to leave ASAP the Terminus group? So could he not have changed his mind and stayed a bit longer to see if Daryl and Carol returned? that's a good point.
Who, Abraham?
Yeah, why did he want to hide? I mean, we talked about this in the cast, but I think Giovanni's right.
I think he's itching. He's itching to go to DC. Maybe he wants to just be done with Eugene. Like, I believe this fucker, but God, he's annoying. Let's hurry this up.
That's I gotta protect him, but goddamn,
yeah,
mullet. Also, a small thing, but listening to an instant cast, I did find it a bit spoilery. You guys usually warn in advance before mentioning even things from next week's preview, but there was no warning this time. I make an effort not to watch those previews at the end, so I preferred if you warned before talking about them. Thanks for the feedback, man. We got a little sloppy there. Our bad. We will do better next time.
Sure.
The instant cast, it's tough sometimes not to talk about comics and stuff, but we'll just do a better job. So apologize for that. Don't worry going forward. We got your back. Nathan P said, in the previous episode, Rick tells Carl that you are never safe. Nowhere is safe. Why on earth would you leave both your kids in even more danger? Previously, we've seen a herd of literally flaming walkers, as well as Rick's group being attacked by Daryl's bandit group in the middle of the night. Both are potential threats in addition to the Terminite cannibals. So what does Rick do? He takes all of his toughest and most badass people in the group, even fist bump Tara, into the deep dark woods to get up to a location half a mile out while leaving the ultimate dream team at the church. Gabriel, who hasn't killed anyone. Tyrese, who won't kill anyone. Eugene, a sack of shit. What's super hilarious is he censored the word shit for our podcast. It's adorable. Okay. Rosita, who hasn't done anything since her introduction to the show. Bob, who is bit and has lost his leg. Carol, who is a kid, but in fairness, still a more badass than everyone else. And baby Judith, who only reunited with her true family 2 episodes ago, but apparently that doesn't mean anything to Rick anyway. Completely disregard what I said last week, as Judith is once again in mortal peril. No, I mean, yeah, that's a very concise critique.
Yeah, so I'm still struggling with this shot of the church sign where Rick's group goes one way, the termites come the other way. We never see Rick's group leave the woods, right?
Yeah.
Is that to say that they're hiding in the woods waiting for them to walk by?
Yeah.
Or that they're just not dumb enough to travel right down the road in the moonlight?
No, they were waiting. I feel like they were waiting 20, 30 feet, yards to the right of where Rick exited the scene.
Okay.
Well, how embarrassing would it have been if they just like ran up on him?
Yeah.
Oh, pardon us.
So I don't think they were actually going to their camp then. They were just going out into the woods to take up a perimeter position.
Well, then that makes it really, I mean, that makes
the termites inside the perimeter.
Gareth is a real stupid ass if he's not even checking to make sure he's going off in the right direction. But
hey, man.
Yeah. He also ponders, do you think the character of Beth or the actress Emily Kinney herself will be able to carry the next episode? Do you personally feel invested enough for her character that you will care about what she may be going through next time?
No, they'll have to get me reinvested, which is not a tall order.
I was going to say, I like Beth.
Yeah,
she's important to, well, she used to be important to Maggie. She's important to Daryl.
Yeah.
She's, I kind of am intrigued at her and Carl's relationship.
Yeah.
She's good with Judith.
Her and Daryl's relationship are, that's weird.
I don't mind Emily Kinney. It's going to be a big test, though. Yeah. I hope she's got some good writing and good direction backing her up.
Yeah.
Because she, carrying an episode for anybody that's not named Andrew Lincoln, Chad Coleman, Norman Reedus, Melissa McBride is probably a tall order.
Denai Guerrera, I think she can.
Yeah, she could definitely. But outside those top 5, I don't know that a Glenn-centric episode or a Maggie-centric episode would be that interesting as well. So yeah. Anyway, this episode, I know this episode was less than fresh because it brought the professional podcast critic Daniel WB out of retirement.
Oh boy, yeah, it's bad when he comes through.
He says this show is sailing along, doing what it does so well, and then muddled into episode 3. Some great acting from the Wire alums, but boneheaded writing just ruins everything. You're dead on the observation that both groups act like it's their first week in the apocalypse. Why not eat D'Angelo's arms first so he can walk himself around while acting as a human refrigerator? That's a good fucking
also
point.
Tastier.
That's a good point. Since everyone is infected, that's the other thing about Dale. He had lost his leg because that was another remix that they put they gave.
Oh, that's right.
Herschel Dale's leg and they gave Bob Dale's fate, but they kept it.
And they gave Dale a cow.
Yeah, they gave him. Since everyone is infected, according to Jenner, what difference does it make if you eat tainted meat? Regardless, the potential poetic justice of their turning lasts all of 30 minutes until Rick unleashes hell on the cannibals. This silly fright tropes are getting increasingly lame as well. I'm looking through my scope as two zombies stealth mode into my personal space. Oh, there's a noise. I better wander into the brush for a better look. Did the Talking Dead explain all of this week's nonsense too?
I don't know.
I don't know. No, I think he's making a joke about my joke about the Talking Dead does not excuse having giant plot holes.
Sure.
Let's keep on keeping on. Thank you. It's good to hear from you again. I was worried there, Daniel. Jeff S. said, did anyone else feel like the characters are all horrified by the killings in the church, are destined to die? Is this a sign of weakness that they're unfit for the apocalypse?
No, they're still with badasses. I don't think they necessarily have to die.
Yeah, but so is Tyrese, and he's got one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. So,
yeah, well, we'll see about him.
Josh H. Quick
question for you, real quick. Do you know that? Do they put Talking Dead episodes on the DVDs?
I don't think so.
God, they should. They're just going to sell you Talking Dead episodes, aren't they?
That's actually not a bad point. I mean, it's free content. No one gives a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's going to go back and I don't think there's any place you can watch them.
Yeah.
So they had very little value after the fact. It's something you can shovel onto a Blu-ray and
it's
justify
a fairly big bonus feature,
sure,
right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of content.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out when we order the DVDs for the contest winners.
And open them up and play them.
No, but we can at least read the features on the back. They can't begrudge us that, can they?
No.
Don't you fucking lay eyeballs on my prize package, you sons of bitches. Getting the itchy fingers.
Yep.
Josh H says, I have a quick question. Do you think actually this is a little spoilery. Let's take this into the spoiler section.
Okay.
So Josh H, I'm gonna answer yours first. If you wanna hear me talk about it, head into the spoiler section. Will you take us there, Jim? Will you lead us to the promised spoiler land?
Are we done?
Yeah, that's it.
You're not gonna tell people about Facebook and Twitter?
Oh hell yeah.
Emails.
If you want to send us email. Kind of want to keep us down low for a week so my inbox can cool off.
Oh boy.
But do it at watchingdead@baldmove.com. And of course, we got the live thread on Facebook. It's always a rollicking good time. Facebook.com/baldmove. And you can live tweet at Jim if you got something funny to say at baldmove on Twitter.
Yep.
Boom. Spoilers.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for listening. We will be back regardless of whether or not you like it. Next week after
that is a threat.
Next week after the episode for the Instant Cast. And until then, I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron. Bye.
And we're back with the spoiler section.
Do you know what is listed prominently if you freeze frame on Abraham's map?
Atlanta.
Yes. And Alexandria.
Oh, is it? Is it in the path of the red line?
It is very near to Washington, D.C.
Oh, man.
And I'm wondering, is that near confirmation that we will get to the Alexandria safe zone at the end of this season? Why tease it?
Could be, yeah. And it feels like they've been moving pretty fast in the plot. I think we might have time to get there. Although I don't know exactly when that happens in the comics. I haven't read that far. And
right.
I haven't talked much about it with you. So.
Well, so, I've gone back and forth about the timing of this thing. Mm-hmm. And the thing about, you got to get to Alexandria before you can bring on Negan. And Negan feels like a mid-season finale or a mid-season or a season finale even. So clearly they're not going to get to this half season. If they get to Alexandria at the end of this season, or at the end of this mid-season, that's a lot of yada-yadaing through 500 miles of travel.
Sure.
That's saying they had no adventures. If you get to the end of it at the end of this season, and then you have Negan for the mid-season of 6, I could get behind that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I would be disappointed if they just said yada yada 550 miles. It might be, stretching believability a little bit that they wouldn't have a problem along the road. Like, meet somebody or have to fill up for gas and get in a confrontation or something.
Sure.
But I wouldn't be too sad about that. So if they went ahead and did it at the end of this season, I'd be okay.
Okay. Josh H says, I have a quick question. Do you think that they may do the Beth episode like the Governor episodes from last year, kind of a flashback and then catching up to current? Then perhaps Daryl could have brought back Beth and Carol, or perhaps he let Carol leave and he himself found and brought Morgan back. What do you think of those ideas? Do you think that we're going to have like a 3-episode Beth arc?
I hope it's not 3. Like 2 at the max, but mixed in with other characters as well. Like we can't just have an all Beth episode. I don't think.
You don't think so?
No, we could have a Beth, Carol, Daryl episode. Sure, I think that'd be interesting.
Well, I mean, that's probably what we get, right?
Yeah, and I think they're going to have to jump back a little bit and show us, at least Beth waking up and like all this stuff. And I'm hoping, based on the preview for next week, that it's going to be somebody from the hospital that pops out of the bushes with Daryl, and that he will have made contact with Beth, and Carol will still be there.
You meant baby farm, right?
But I think it's actually a hospital. The
forced
building
breeding camp.
Yeah, but the building itself is a hospital.
I'm just fucking with you.
So it would be cool if Carol was still out there, or it might be disturbing if Carol is still out there.
Yeah.
Maybe they've taken Carol hostage. And
what do you like to think about him coming back with Morgan?
That would be cool too.
I'd like to get Morgan,
but I don't think that can happen because it says several months later. Yeah, 5 months later.
And there was this people like, well, duh. Obviously, look at the ivy. The sign had slightly more ivy crawling up it.
Okay,
and that's supposed to be illustrate the passage of time. Like I've seen kudzu, man. It's not that you wouldn't see the sign if that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe that's going to be a mid-season kind of thing.
It could be. I just don't know how they get around the 5 months later thing, because we are not 5 months in Rick's storyline at all.
Michael McBride said, I have a really good theory. At least I think so. How about Tyrese dies? This won't happen for a while, but with Negan coming, what if instead of him killing Glenn, it's Tyrese? It would do some cleanup. It'd get rid of characters that have been long gone, and would be a nice little flip as well, and let us keep Glenn a little while longer.
But why? Why do we need Glenn longer?
I don't know. I mean, I
say let Glenn die.
The thing is, it's like, because my theory is they're going to kill Daryl, because that would actually make people flip their shit, and it would clean up some budgetary issues. And but the thing is he's got this remix mode where, like, I don't see the value, because Tyrese is supposed to be dead now. Glenn will be dead supposed to be dead once you get to the Negan storyline.
Yeah.
Andrew is supposed to still be alive. At some point, you just can't fucking undo that shit.
Rick's supposed to be missing a hand.
Sure. So, I don't know. I don't know if you can use that logic, just because it doesn't seem like Kirkman does. But I would find them beating Tyrese to death to be effective. I mean, Daryl's so iconic. And I don't think, aside from killing Rick or Carl, anything could be more shocking.
Yeah.
Tyrese and Glenn are roughly, I guess, on the same level for me.
Yeah.
As far as effectiveness.
Yeah. One level down from Daryl. Sure.
One level down from Daryl and Rick and Carl.
Yeah.
I think Rick and Carl are untouchable. I mean, consider
I do too.
them. So Daryl's the most shocking death that I'd actually, I mean, I guess Rick would be the most shocking, but that's just not going to happen. Not
Michonne, maybe. Like, I would view Daryl or Michonne as about even.
Michonne, Tyrese, and Glenn.
We need to do a power pyramid here.
Yeah, no, those would definitely be tier 2 whole shit. And then below that is probably Maggie and Carol. Carol's up on tier 2 too, right?
Carol's pretty low now. She's sunk down a couple tiers now that her storyline is played out. Yeah.
Yeah, you might be right.
Although I don't know that her storyline is completely played out. We'll see.
Sasha's below Tyrese, Michonne, and Glenn.
Yeah,
I still, now that Bob's dead, I'm back to kind of not caring about her.
Yeah,
I thought she was getting to be interesting, and obvious. That's weird. The sum of their two parts are better than individual. Like, I didn't care Bob about him being alcoholic. I didn't care about Sasha being the sassy younger sister that's tougher than Tyrese. But when they started having some chemistry between those actors, I was like, oh yeah, I'm liking this.
Yeah.
Let's see. Alex said, I'm predicting that Daryl has come back to Rick's group with a member of the Alexander community where Beth is being kept, and that community will be taking their group in. Unless they make Alexandria a suburb of Atlanta, that just cannot happen.
Yeah.
Because we're still, you might not have known this, but if you look on the map, we're still hundreds and hundreds of miles away from there.
Yeah. Daryl can't get there and back, even on a chopper.
Or in the whatever weird ass car he jump started and took off in.
A Hyundai. Yeah.
Was it a Hyundai?
I'm sure it was.
Late model Hyundai. I've got this pacing in, but I don't have who sent it in.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Negan at all? Do you know what he looks like?
Doesn't he look kind of like the governor?
No, he doesn't look at all. He looks like
no, I have no idea what he looks like.
He looks kind of like the governor's a scuzzy, like evil hippie, and Negan is kind of like a clean cut 50s biker dude.
All right, I see him now. He's bulky.
Yeah, he's bulky, and in fact, shit, this picture is not. Someone suggested that John Hamm would be an awesome Negan.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. He'd have to put on his intimidation face.
I think he can do that though, and also like because you can't play Negan straight up the way he is in the comics because of
TV won't allow it.
Yeah, you just can't. You can't have that kind of language. And my idea was, what if it's the reverse? What if he's like ultra polite, and the way he speaks, he's ultra brutal. You know, he's talking it clean, walking it mean.
Mm.
John Hamm would fit that clean cut image, but also could bring the rage and brutality.
Mm-hmm.
I would, and he's
sure,
in the AMC stable. He's going to be done with Mad Men. I really like that call. So whoever sent that in, that's a brilliant casting suggestion. That's about all I got for this week, man.
Also potential Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were making this on HBO, he would be damn near perfect.
Sure. All right. Is that all we got?
That's all we got, man.
Okay, cool. Then we're out of here.
Yeah. See you next week.
See you.
And thanks to everybody joining us live in the studio. Thank you for supporting us. We appreciate it so much. We will see you with hopefully with the lunch with Jim and Aaron a little bit later this week. We haven't planned out what day that's going to be.
Yeah.
But, we'll get that up. We'll put that on the Bald Move calendar tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll figure out something.
Not the actual. We'll actually schedule it tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
See ya.